Hello and welcome back to Ultima 7, the Black Gate and Forge of Virtue. So, we are in Jellum, and we have just found Dupre, and we're slowly unraveling some sort of incident with Sprellic, the innkeeper, who has dishonored the local fighting library. So, let's see who else is around and if we can learn anything more about that. We went up this way, yes. Oh, I think this is Sprellic's house. You see a scrawny and timid-looking man who eyes you fearfully. "Oh my!" he cries. "'Tis really the Avatar this time. Please do not hurt me, Avatar." What do you mean by this time? "'Tis a long story. I shall probably be dead before I can finish it." Well, name? My name is Sprellic. And what's your story, Sprellic? "My tale is a strange one. It may disturb and puzzle thee. Art thou certain thou wouldst like to hear it?" "Yeah, lay it on me." "It all started the previous evening. I had given Ophelia and Daphne the evening off. A stranger had come to mine inn. A very odd stranger. He claimed he was the Avatar. And I believed him, which shows thee how gullible I am." "Stranger?" His eccentricity seemed to be surpassed only by his wealth. He booked both rooms in the inn so that he could try each bed and decide for himself which one was the most comfortable. As for food, he was voracious. He was a member of the Fellowship, too. Tell me about his voracious eating. The stranger ordered one of every kind of food and drink on the menu, so if he ever wanted anything, it would be right there to eat. I was cooking for hours, but then it got worse. He went to bed. How did that make it worse? After he went to bed, he complained that he was too cold. I brought him more and more blankets, but it was not enough. Finally, he had every blanket in the inn, and he was still cold. Well, what do you mean? In desperation, I ran down the street. It was the middle of the night. All of the shops were closed. The only thing I could find was some sort of old tapestry hanging on a wall, so I took it down. That was the flag, I bet. Tell me about this tapestry. The next thing I remember, there was an angry woman chasing after me for some reason. She wanted to kill me. I managed to get away from her and get back to the inn and cover the stranger with the tapestry. Finally, he fell asleep. That made him fall asleep? I also fell asleep, only I slept late. When I awoke, the guest was gone. He had not paid his bill and had taken all the blankets, even the tapestry. Before I could go look for him, I had a visitor. Who was a visitor? It was the woman who had chased me the night before. Her name was Syria. She said that I had stolen the honor flag from the wall of the Library of Scars. She also challenged me to a duel to the death unless I gave it back, and she's much bigger than I. When I tried to explain that I could not give it back, she hit me, and it hurt a lot. So what'd you say about the duel? Later that day, I ran into a man named Vokes. He's a fighter at the Library of Scars. He asked me to return the honor flag, and when I tried to tell him I could not, he hit me. Then he challenged me to a duel to the death to be fought right after my duel with Syria. After Vokes left, I encountered a man named Timmons. He asked me to return the honor flag to the Library of Scars. I told him I could not, and he also challenged me to a duel to the death. I told him I was busy, but he scheduled the challenge for right after my duel with Vokes. Timmons, Vokes, and Syria are the three toughest fighters in Jellum. I could not hope to survive against one of them, let alone all three. The mysterious guest and the honor flag are nowhere to be found. Even now, my barmaids are taking bets on the manner of my demise. Demise? Excuse me. Mine only hope for survival is to find a champion who could stand up to the fiercest fighters in Jellum. Oh yeah? And who might that be? Wouldst thou be my champion, Avatar? So we have a few different options. With this, we can well, we can resolve it a few different ways, and we don't necessarily need to be his champion. But let's say yes anyways. Sprellic falls to his knees before you in gratitude. Avatar, thou hast saved my life. I cannot thank thee enough. And tell me about these fighters. Syria, she's not as bad as she may appear to be. No doubt that woman has a temper. But I am sure she is quite nice once thou hast gotten the chance to know her. If not for these sad circumstances, we might have gotten the chance to get to know each other better. What about Vokes? He is a fearless warrior who cherishes any opportunity for combat. Beware of him. And Timmins? Timmins has come to Jellum only recently. I can tell thee nothing more of him. They hit you, eh? I will say this of the Lady Syria. She is quite beautiful when she is angry. At least the visions of her that swam through mine head after she had hit me were quite beautiful. Tragically, I awoke. So he was gone, eh? Any sense of where he went? As I've said, I was rooked by a professional, a master criminal, no doubt, and one who is still at large. Angry woman. Actually, I'd seen this angry woman before. She would enter mine establishment upon occasion. Unfortunately, this was our first formal acquaintance. Night. Actually, now as I recall being out in the night air, it was a quite tolerable evening. Alas, I was oblivious to little else but the prospect of earning a goodly sum in the service of the stranger. Woe is me. You were cooking for all day? Of course, most of the food he left was uneaten. I had to give it away once it started to spoil. Eccentricity. I fear that the stranger was not who he claimed to be at all. I was a victim of a great and terrible deception that was perpetrated upon me. Yes, he was not the Avatar. I am. Did I ask job? I am the proprietor of the Bunk and Stool here in Jellum. I don't think we did this. Excuse me, Jellum. This is a town of fighters who pass their time fighting each other in bloody duels. It is no place for me. I should never have left Minok. And the Bunk and Stool? It is the local inn where all the fighters from the Library of Scars come to drink. They would wreck the place every night if not for Ophelia and Daphne. But that does not matter, for soon I will be dead. Daphne? Daphne is one of my barmaids. She is rather large. If Ophelia cannot charm our patrons when they become unruly, Daphne wrestles them to the ground. Ophelia? Ophelia is one of my barmaids. She is gorgeous. If Daphne cannot handle our patrons when they become unruly, Ophelia will simply charm them. Library of Scars. It is the club of fighters run by Master de Snell, second home to the fiercest and most ruthless fighters in all of Britannia. And you're going to be dead. This is a long story. I shall probably be dead before I can finish it. And we've already asked. Okay. Alright, Sprellic. We'll see what we can do. Good day to the Avatar. What are you reading? No Way to Jump by Desmond. Herein lies the compilation that discusses various elements found in adventure stories. In addition to the evaluation of their literary worth, one essay demonstrates how to apply such elements in other styles. Trend 1, 2, 3, 4, up to 12, 17. This autobiography penned by the obtuse mage reveals Tren's life in all of his incarnations as he continually strove to possess more powerful beings. Ringworld by Larry Niven. Herein lie the words that tell of adventures to be had in the space between Britannia and the heavens. The work, although fictional, proposes that's spelled wrong, proposes that there are many undiscovered lands that lie between Britannia and other suns. Preposes? Maybe preposes is a different word. Oh, you got a lot of books, Sprellic. Okay, let's start with the open one. Stealing the Wind by Brianna. Kite building I don't have to read it like him. Kite building techniques thou hast never seen before, from the simple box kite to the mind-numbing crisscross butterfly. Each kite is presented in several forms, from beginning to end. At the end of the essay is a listing of wind variables and flying styles. The Trio by Lee Pearson. Compiled from the music of 3 master bards, this full volume contains a collection of songs for a variety of stringed and percussion instruments. The Winning Number by A.P. Burke. Herein is the sequel to The 5 Stages of Lawn Care. This novel, which focuses on the same two men, is set 10 years after the former work. Gone with the Wisp by Margareta Michelino. This novel, purportedly written by a young... I don't think I'm supposed to say the word. A young woman depicts the golden days of Britannia, filled with short anecdotes Michelino claims came from her people. The piece is quite amusing. Collected Plays by Raimundo. Oh, we've met Raimundo? I think. Name rings a bell. Can't remember who it is off the top of my head. Housed inside this anthology of stage works are such greats as Three on a Codpiece, The Trials of the Avatar, The Plagiarist, Clue, Thumbs Down, and several other prize-winning pieces. For convenience in production, several suggested costumes and makeup techniques are listed in the back. Right, Raimundo is the big whatever playwright in Britain who wrote the play about us, I believe. Was that one? Weaving by Carlin. This is a complete source book for a variety of patterns. Included are patterns for clothing, blankets, quilts, and sheets. The introduction even includes a section on weaving one's own cloth. Take the bale of wool and stretch it out across the wheel to make the thread. Once that is done, put the thread across the loom and begin weaving. Shortly thou wilt have a nice stretch of cloth from which thou canst to make a variety of useful things. This is actually true. You can take wool, put it across the wheel, whatever it's actually called when you click on it, to make thread, and then weave the thread into cloth that I think you can make bandages out of. Are all things that you can actually do in the game, which is pretty cool. Tedious, but cool. For variation, use different colored threads on the loom to create exciting patterns. Last one. The Complete History of the Lute by Devanalin, with foreword by the master bard Iolo. Herein are the words penned by the illustrious master lute player himself. The voluminous work begins with a description of the building process and carefully leads into the music theory. I heartfully and willingly share my title with this young and very talented virtuoso, and recommend that thee follow his words of wisdom well. Iolo Arbalest. I didn't know that was Iolo's last name. Arbalest. Cool. I learned something. Okay. So, let's see what time it is. 1:16. I wonder if everybody's still at the town square. We obviously haven't met the other fighters yet. Yeah, here everybody is. Clifton. Okay, we still got something new. Okay, so let's tell Clifton about Sprellic. You relate Sprellic's story to the old man, who listens intently. It sounds to me like the work of Sullivan, the trickster. He is a legendary thief and swindler who has never once been caught. Indeed, few even believe he actually exists. Thou shalt not be able to dissuade the duelist with a tale like that. Dissuade? The only thing that can dissuade them from wanting to kill poor Sprellic is to return the honor flag. It must have been taken away by Sullivan, but the duelists do not know that. If we had a duplicate of the honor flag, we could give them that instead. Duplicate? In my day, I was fairly handy at stitching wounds. Perhaps I can make a duplicate of the honor flag. The deception only has to work long enough for them to formally call off the duel. Sewing? I stitched so many of my comrades back together after all the battles I fought in. Now that I am retired, sewing has sort of become mine hobby. He looks at you with a little embarrassment. Yeah, it's the same thing. Stitches and sewing. There's nothing wrong with that. Deception, eh? Even if they notice that it is not their true honor flag, they would never admit it. To do so would make them look foolish. They would rather simply challenge anyone who might say it is not their honor flag to yet another duel. But let us deal with one duel at a time here. Honor flag. Dost thou want me to make an honor flag that can be given to the Library of Scars so the duels can be stopped? So, these are our three options. We can either be Sprellic's champion and fight the three fighters, or we can represent the three fighters and fight Sprellic. We could also place bets with Daphne and Ophelia if we were to do that, so we could bet on ourselves, obviously, and then make money off of it. Or we can avoid fighting altogether, and we can create a deception fake flag, or a fake, flag. And we're going to go that way. I do want that. Then thou must be sure to come pick it up from me before thou dost go to the dueling area. It is the area outside my shop next to the Library of Scars. I had best get busy if I'm to have it finished in time. Please return to my shop in a few hours. Okay, so I'm going to go back and see him in a few hours. We've been down here. He specifically warned us not to go to the dueling area, so I don't really want to mess with that. But I think it's okay. I just don't think we're allowed to talk to people. Yeah, anyways, I think that's a good place to end, so we'll pick up here next time, and we'll get a conclusion to the honor flag. See you then.